Darren Muji, Aaron Glenn, Woody Johnson, they all spoke down at the owners' meetings in Palm Beach, Florida. But what did we learn? We'll talk about that and much more, all coming up here on NY Flight Jets Talk with our guy Jake Brown, the host of Jets Flight Club.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
What is going on, everyone? Hello and welcome back here to another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. I appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. It's completely free, and it does help us grow significantly here on the show. Super Chats, memberships, the paid way to contribute to the show. That also helps us grow just as much. So if you can, Super Chats, memberships are much appreciated. We appreciate you tuning in here on another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk on this Tuesday, first day of April. Draft time is here, baby. 23 days away from round one of the start 2025 NFL draft. So really looking forward to that. Appreciate all your support. As always, joining me right now to talk all things New York Jets, the host of the Jets Flight Club podcast, our guy Jake Brown graces us with his presence here on the program. Jake, how you doing?
Good morning. Happy April Fool's Day. If I were to say an April Fool's joke, it would be that the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
1,000%, Jake. I appreciate you sparing some time. And while our Jets have been struggling, the losers of the offseason, the name that's been tossing around, it's good to see our Mets go out. And I got a little worried when Danny Young entered the game and he allowed hit after hit, but still held on, and it was a 10-4 win.
That's the time you want Danny Young to F up. Like, I'd rather his ERA go up when the Mets are up 10-1. That's when it's fine for me. Have people been calling the Jets the losers of the offseason?
That's what we've been hearing.
I mean, I think they're flying under the radar and they haven't made those sexy moves, those big moves. But to me, I think they've had a fine offseason. They haven't had a groundbreaking offseason. But every time they have a groundbreaking offseason, they suck. So maybe it's the offseason that they fly under the radar that they'll be good now.
1,000%. Hopefully you don't, it was the whole thing of winning the offseason, losing in the regular season. Maybe you lose the offseason, win in the regular season. Hopefully you don't lose the offseason and lose in the regular season, which many are tossing around right now. But Jake, I want to get into some of the comments that were made yesterday in Palm Beach, Florida by Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, and Woody Johnson. Where I'm going to start is with Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn made a ton of comments talking about Justin Fields, his skill set, how he could be utilized as the Jets quarterback. Obviously announced that he will be the Jets week one starter here. It was announced back end of March. So the Jets are instilling their full confidence in Justin Fields. How do you feel about this, that the Jets are really putting their utmost confidence into a guy like Fields, who's yet to solidify himself as a top quarterback in this league, but has certainly shown glimmers of hope as a 26-year-old athletic freak?
You had to. I mean, with that contract you give Justin Fields, you give him 2 years, 40, and obviously not all guaranteed. We'll see how much he ends up making and if he stays healthy. This was your guy in the offseason. This is who you went after. I think it would be dumb to say you sign him and then it's a competition. You know, we could find out in August if Tyrod Taylor completely outplays Fields, if Fields looks terrible, they can make a decision then. But I think putting your confidence in early into a guy that you signed to be your franchise quarterback at least for a bridge year, 1 year, maybe 2 years, I think it's smart. So I don't agree with people saying you can't give him the job this early. No, he's been a solid starter. He hasn't exactly had the best supporting cast around him in Chicago. He had a good supporting cast in Pittsburgh, and look, he was winning games. And I know he didn't light up the box score, but you get help around you. You get the right defense around you, which Pittsburgh had. Your hope is that the Jets defense gets back to its ways of a couple of years ago. And if so, and if they're that team that gives up less than 20 points a game, then Justin Fields is going to have success. When he plays mistake-free, he doesn't run like a maniac fumbling the ball. He runs smart. He slides. He's a good player. So I'm completely on board for giving him that starting job and doing it now.
1,000%. Here's the thing. I don't think this is a Parcells type move. Aaron Glenn, obviously, a lot of the comparisons to Bill Parcells. I don't think Bill Parcells, Jake, would have announced his starting quarterback in March, especially one who's 26 years old and has yet to prove anything that is worth top quarterback material in this league. That's the one parallel that I think a lot of people Drew, staying with the topic, though, the overall quarterback room, Aaron Glenn was asked about Jordan Travis, and his answer was pretty blunt regarding Travis. If he's ready, he's going to be able to compete. We all know the whole drama with his agent calling out the Jets, saying they rushed the rehab process, pretty much blaming these additional setbacks on the Jets, which, by the way, is completely a joke when the Jets had Aaron Rodgers, who didn't miss a single snap due to injury, Tyrod Taylor, who's a more than serviceable backup, and Jordan Travis, who many expected him to be in for a full redshirt season anyway. So I view that as completely BS from Travis's agent. What do you think Jordan Travis's role looks like on the Jets this coming season? If the Jets draft a quarterback, would you be open to that? Could you see Travis potentially competing for a roster spot over the summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the third stringer. I know everyone's saying the Jets should draft a quarterback, but is there anyone even worth drafting? Do you, like a team that needs a receiver, a team that needs a tight end, a team that has holes to fill? I'm not in the camp of they have to in the fourth round go get a quarterback. They got to get McCord or whoever it ends up being. They got to go get one of these late end quarterbacks. I don't think that's a need. I think Jordan Travis deserves a shot to be a developmental quarterback. Now, he's not going to get a chance to play unless there's injuries, but I think he deserves a shot to at least hold the clipboard on the sideline and maybe learn from Tyrod, learn from Justin Fields, and, see football. He had the rehab issues he claims, his agent claims, whatever he claims, but to sweep him under the rug and go get another developmental quarterback, I don't think is a need. Everyone's always on board. Get the quarterback. What if you take a year off from getting the quarterback? What if you wait till next year and go get a quarterback later on? Why does it have to be this year? I'm not in love with it. The guy is not going to play a year, maybe 2 years. So I think you could wait till next year. I'm also fine with them drafting one later, but I think Travis deserves a shot to be the practice squad quarterback and the next man in line. And listen, Fields or Taylor are probably going to get hurt. The style they play, they're bound to be injured at least for a series or a half. Like, that's just, Fields has been hurt before. Taylor's been injury prone before. So, Fields, Travis may have a shot to play in some games this year due to injuries, but I think he should be the third man up.
Why is that, Jake? I mean, here's my whole thing with Travis. What has he shown me? This is someone who hasn't participated in a practice. He's removing the Jets from his social media accounts. You're starting to see the off-field issues now when this guy hasn't even participated in a single practice in a Jets uniform. His first year of his rookie contract, down the drain. Second year, as of now, he's the third man in line. Potentially, I know you said you would be okay with them drafting a quarterback. If they draft someone, he's fighting for his life over the summer. I just don't think there's anything here with Travis. I think this is a dart throw you made, hoping, maybe he was able to part. Because the expectation, Jake, all of last year was he was going to be ready for training camp. I think the Jets kind of viewed it as, hey, you have Aaron Rodgers who's coming off an Achilles injury, because let's bring ourselves back to August of last year. Everyone was so worried about Aaron Rodgers staying healthy. Maybe that was the move by the Jets where they're like, okay, this is a younger guy who was really, really fun at FSU before he suffered that gruesome ankle injury. Let's take a dart throw. Let's take a flyer on a guy like him, see what he has. I just don't get the overall fascination when this is someone, you look at the numbers, obviously, he had at FSU and the injury he suffered. Not many people come back from this injury. He's lucky he's lucky at this point he's able to walk, let alone play quarterback for the NYJ. So why exactly do you think he deserves a fair shake when now we're seeing the off-field issues flare up and he hasn't even participated in a practice?
Because I like a winner. I like a guy who's won. And, I just think he deserves a shot. I think the injury got the best of him. I think he deserves 1 year to prove if he is the guy, a healthy 100% year. I like a guy who won. He was 11-0 his last year. He was 10-3 his year before. He 24 touchdowns, 5 picks, 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in his last year. He put up all-world numbers. And I know it's college, but Florida State's a big school. He's one of the best teams in the country. So I want to see what a winning college quarterback could do here. We've seen successful, top-of-the-line, winning quarterbacks in college come to the NFL and be great. So that's what I want to see out of him. I want to see a year and see what he got. And if he doesn't have it, I just don't think he's gotten the most fair shake. Everything you say is correct, but I still would like to see him healthy for a year and see if he can walk the walk. He's talked a lot. His agents talked a lot. Let's see if he can walk. I think he deserves a shot. I might be wrong, but I like a college champion. I like a player that dominated the college scene. I want to see them get a shot to compete for a job.
All the attributes you're listing there, Jake. Someone who would be a late round flyer in this year's draft has all those same attributes, and that's Will Howard from Ohio State. Will Howard is the same age as Jordan Travis. They're both 24 years old. Will Howard is highly experienced, over 1,200 dropbacks at the college level, won a national championship, can make plays in and outside the pocket, insanely accurate, and he has mobility. He has that deep ball. Will Howard's my guy in this year's draft, Jake.
Yeah, but what is he going to be available? Like when do you project he gets taken?
Late third, early fourth round.
All right, if he's available, it's fine. I don't think losing a fourth round pick to quarterback is going to hurt the Jets, so I'd be fine with it. But again, I think you're writing him off, too quick here. I think Jordan, his name's Jordan. Come on, he's Michael Jordan Travis. Like, give Jordan a shot. I'm good either way. Either way, either of these guys are playing, in the next 2 years, maybe the next 3 years. So I don't know. I'm in the camp of Justin Fields, your quarterback this year. Justin Fields is probably your quarterback next year. Tyrod Taylor's your quarterback this year. And then you'll probably have a developmental quarterback behind Justin Fields next year. So I'm not in a dire rush to find your next franchise quarterback in this draft because fourth round, Connor, still a shot in the dark. Like, one of these guys may never start in the NFL. There's no guarantee Will Howard becomes a franchise quarterback for the Jets, let alone anyone. So I don't think you need it, but I know they're probably going to take one anyway.
If he's ready, he'll compete. That's what Aaron Glenn said of Jordan Travis. Jake, let's move over to the trenches. Going to start with the offensive line. Darren Muji told reporters that, he referenced the flexibility that Elijah Vera Tucker has and how he's done great things for this team over the past few years, playing 4 out of the 5 offensive line positions. But he said Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be a guard for this team. Do you like this move? Did you want to slide AVT out to tackle and get a mauler in the run game on the inside, or you like keeping him at guard where he's had the most success?
I like keeping them at guard. Like, no need to move guys out of position. I thought they were pretty good last year, and you're already still going to need to go get a tackle, whether it's in the draft or free agency. That's their biggest weakness on the offensive line right now. So, you move him over, then you got to replace him at guard, and then it just gets confusing. So I like the big fella next to Joe Tippmann at guard. I think that's the right move, and I would not mess with where he's had success. Obviously, he's had injury issues, and the key to Elijah Vera Tucker, can he stay on the field? Because this Jets offensive line doesn't have the depth to just keep replacing guys. They just don't have it. And, it's later in free agency now. I know they're going to draft guys, but, even some guys you draft are going to be developmental players. So, is their starting right tackle Connor right now Carter Warren? Is that what the Jets are going at right tackle?
Chuck Wuma Okorafor right now is their starting right tackle. Someone who quit on his team last year and allowed 3 pressures on 6 pass blocking snaps.
You need depth. I don't know. I think they got to go get another tackle, but I'm not a fan of moving guys out of position and making let him do what he's comfortable with. And then, if you have to move him there, if the right tackle goes down, you have the flexibility to do that. Let him do that in a game or, when needed, but don't move him from where he dominated.
1,000%. Do you think this tips the Jets' hand a little bit, potentially going Armand Membu in the draft if he were to fall?
I don't love getting another offensive lineman.
Same.
In the top 10. It's like, how many years are we going to do this song and dance? But then you have the people saying, I don't want to get tight end. I don't want Warren either. I don't want a tight end. So what do? Do you get another pass rusher? I'd rather have a pass rusher than have an offensive lineman. If it was at 7 for me, I don't know. I just hate these constant first round top 10 offensive line. And Olu was a good pick, but how many times are they going to do this? But knowing the Jets and knowing, who's there, they're probably going to get offensive linemen there. I'll live with it, but I don't know about you, Connor. I'm tired of these. Maybe because they're not the sexy name, the offensive lineman, but I'm kind of tired of drafting offensive linemen in the top 10.
I just don't think the value's there. That's what I've been saying as of late, Jake. I would rather you got your offensive, and if I could go back and do it all over again last year, I still would have taken Olu Fashanu over Brock Bowers. I would take the guy to build your offensive line, someone who's looking like your cornerstone left tackle thus far. I would take that over a good tight end one. However, you address the left side. I think you can get someone in the later rounds. Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College is my guy. Third round, Jake. He's someone 6'8", 309 pounds, big body on the outside, can set an edge, plays in a run-heavy scheme. with this team shifting over to a run-heavy offense. I think he's someone who could fit this offense pretty well. I would rather get a wide receiver 2 in Ted McMillan, a tight end 1 in Tyler Warren. I would rather do that with the 7th overall pick than try to add a right tackle and, hope that he's the guy. I just don't see the overall value there for the Jets. It's nothing against Membu. The scenario, if they're completely sold on going offensive line, the only scenario you could potentially sell me on is Muji changes his mind. You bring AVT out to tackle, and then you plug Will Campbell in from LSU at right guard. That is the only scenario where you could potentially sell me on it. However, other than that, I'm out on the offensive lineman overall. I want to float around, though, a draft day trade that was proposed by Bill Barnwell of ESPN, Jake. He threw this out earlier today. He said, Jets received the number 10 overall pick. They're trading with the Bears, and the number 72 overall pick in exchange for the 7th overall pick and this year's 5th rounder. And the Bears want to come up in the order, and it looks like they want to secure Ashton Genty. That's what it's looking like. If he gets past the Raiders, the Bears are going to want to come up and secure Ashton Genty. Trading down, obviously been an intriguing option for some Jet fans. Thoughts on that proposal there from Barnwell?
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I mean, listen, you're going to get your guy at 10 as well. Like, you're going to get a player of need. And I think if they go down to 10, there's a better chance they get a tight end. And I think that, to me, makes a lot of sense for them. If you could pair Stones, I like the Stone Smart move. A lot of people never heard of him. I think he's a big body. I think he's a good receiving tight end. He's still very young, has a lot to prove. But if you can pair, 2 great tight ends, it's been something we've been dreaming about. We thought Conklin and Rucker would be great. Didn't work out. Conklin was solid, but he wasn't a game changer. If you could have 2 really good tight ends, it's going to help a young quarterback. I mean, young running quarterbacks love to look to their 3rd or 4th option when they're running around, they're running for their life. Justin Field, and he's got a tight end open down the middle of the field. They love that. So if you could have 2 of those things, I'd be cool with trading down. I think this is a draft you do trade down. You're not getting a quarterback, in the first round. You're not getting a running back. You're not getting one of these, elite wide receivers. Like, there's no receiver even ranked in the rankings in like the top 14. So, this is a draft.
Is it in the first round?
In the first round, yeah, in the top 14 picks. There's no real number 1 wide receiver. So, if there's if there's a draft to trade down, this is it. If you want to either get your receiver or your tight end, I'm cool with them trading down.
What about Colston Loveland from Michigan, Jake? I think Tyler Warren's been getting all the hype recently. How would you feel? Maybe Jets trade down, recoup a couple assets here. Maybe it's not at the 10th overall pick, because I think there's a chance Warren's still available. But let's say you get back, I'll throw out 19, because I floated around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a potential team to trade down with in my Jets X Factor column, and they might want to come up and get a starting quarterback. Let's say the Jets slide down to 19. They're looking for someone who's, he fits the Loveland bill, 6'5", 261 pounds, someone who has elite body control, can create separation, also provide you some value in the blocking game. How would you feel about that? And maybe the Jets go the Loveland route instead of Warren and surprise some fans.
I'm good with that. If you're trading that far down, I'd expect a decent return. Like, if you're going all the way down from 7.
I said a 2nd round pick and like a 6th round pick to trade them that far.
Yeah, I think 12 picks has got to get you a 2nd. If you get a 2nd out of it, I think that's awesome. But like I said, this is the year to get a tight end. You chose not to go Bowers. I was fine with that. You got your offensive lineman. I think a lot of people wanted Bowers, and listen, Bowers is an absolute game changer. They might have made a mistake with that, but now you got to get a tight end. You said goodbye to Conklin. He's gone. You got really a number 2. Stone Smart's really a number 2. He's not an every down tight end.
You leave in a 3,
yeah, 2 or 3, and Ruckert. Who knows? Ruckert has.
He's not even rosterable. Yeah,
I mean, he might not even make the roster. So you need a guy that's going to be a game changer, and I'm fine with Loveland as well. Plus, he got a cool name, Colston Loveland.
1,000%. Another name that the Jets lost in free agency at the tight end position that I don't think enough people are tossing around is Kenny Aboa. This is someone who played special teams for this team, provided a lot of blocking value. You're going to need to virtually replace him in one of the later rounds. I like Jackson Hawes as a potential replacement for him, someone from Georgia Tech who's just going to be an absolute mauler for you in the run game. He's like a 6th offensive lineman on the field. So I like Hawes in one of the later rounds. Preferably, I want this team to double up on the tight end room. I do think they need a lot of help at the tight end position. So I would be 1,000% open to that. Jake, I'm going to throw a tough one at you. Shedeur Sanders on the board at 7. You take them, you trade back, you look at other prospects. Those 3 choices, what are you doing?
He's not going to be on the board, but you're saying in a crazy world where he is on the board.
You just think it's a foregone conclusion he's not going to be? I would not rule that out
If
completely.
he's on the board, you take him. If
Okay.
he's there at 7, you take him. You worry about when he's going to play later on, but if he somehow ends up there at 7, now listen, I think him in New York, could the Giants end up with him, and he's a starting quarterback immediately? I think it could be a disaster. I think with him, his dad, the storylines, him in New York, the nightlife, I think it could be an absolute disaster if it doesn't work out and the headlines start coming. He's been handed everything. He's been handed the keys. He's been handed the money. He's been handed everything he wanted, where he's already like an NFL player that just hasn't been playing in the league yet in terms of financially and his lifestyle, that I worry about that New York spotlight and the team sucking around him could suck the life out of him. With that being said, at 7, if he falls that far, I still take it.
You take him. Why is that? You think his skill set and you think learning behind a guy like Tyrod and potentially even Fields, if he has a solid season, you think that could help him develop as a passer overall? I think he stays at there's nothing about Shedeur Sanders that jumps off the board for me, and I think franchise quarterback. I don't think any quarterback, quite frankly, in this year's draft is a franchise guy. Cam Ward is my quarterback. Shedeur Sanders isn't even my quarterback 2, by the way, Jake. Will Howard is my quarterback 2 in this class. I have Shedeur Sanders as my quarterback 3. I have a second-round grade on him. There's nothing that just jumps off the board to me from Shedeur Sanders that screams, this guy's worth a top 10 pick, and he's a franchise quarterback. What do you see in Shedeur Sanders that makes you think that?
I think he's a starting quarterback. He might not be a franchise quarterback, but at 7, you want a starting quarterback, and I'd rather take the shot there at 7 with a guy that dropped potentially 4 or 5 spots. I think he's athletic. I think he can throw the ball. He won in college. Like, he's not the greatest. Believe me, I 100% see what you're saying. I think he is overrated. He is overhyped. But listen, if he's there at 7, you got to do it. I mean, you just have to do it because this guy's supposed to be in the top 3. So if he falls 4 spots to 7, the Jets are sitting there thinking about, hey, do we want to draft Will Howard in the 4th round or do we get Shedeur here? I'm in the camp of getting Shedeur. Now, the Giants, I worry a little bit more about it. But I don't know. I just think at 7, that value, because what if you later on you could trade him? What if you draft him and then later on a team wants him, you trade him at some point? But I don't know what it is. Maybe it's his name. Maybe it's the aura around him, Connor. But I think he is good enough to be a starter. I agree. Cam Ward, to me, is light years better. I would very much rather have Cam Ward as my quarterback. Well, we all know he's gone in either the 1st or 2nd pick. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just the value thing. It's like, wow, he got to 7. We got to take him. Who would have thought he would have fell that far? To me, it's a mix of value and the fact that, hey, learning from – running quarterback like Fields, a gamer, a veteran in Taylor could help Sanders. And, it also humbles him. If this guy's sitting behind 1, maybe 2 quarterbacks to start his career, that, hey, I'm the guy, I got handed the Cadillac, I got the car, to becoming a 2nd or 3rd stringer, maybe that humbles him and makes him work harder. And maybe in a year or 2, he ends up being the Jets franchise quarterback.
I'm just looking at some teams right now in the draft order that are behind the Jets that might be interested coming up for a quarterback, Jake, because my whole thing is if Shedeur Sanders, the unlikelihood that he is ultimately on the board, I want to trade back and I want to get a haul. I think if you're drafting a quarterback with the 7th overall pick, especially with a team that has so many glaring needs, quarterback is probably pretty far down on that list after signing Justin Fields. I just think you got to address other needs. And that goes back to my whole thing. If you don't think he's the franchise guy, I don't think you take him in the top 10. But obviously, Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn, they all have to do their own evaluations on these players. I mean, the Saints at 9, maybe. I don't think Kellen Moore is going to try to make anything work with Derek Carr. So maybe they come up 2 spots. You get nothing more than a 2nd or a 3rd round pick if it's for a quarterback. And then the other team that caught my eye a little, they're in desperate need of a quarterback, especially if Aaron Rodgers doesn't go to this organization. The Pittsburgh Steelers with the 21st overall pick. Thing is, how are Shedeur Sanders and Mike Tomlin are going to gel? But on the flip side, if he's in deep talks with Aaron Rodgers, I think he could manage Shedeur Sanders to an extent. I just think his dad is a massive turnoff when it comes to some of these teams. My worst nightmare, Jake, is you get into week 5 of the season. Jets start 0-5. Justin Fields throws 4 interceptions a game. Shedeur Sanders is sitting on the bench. Deion Sanders is everywhere, calling out Tanner Engstrand, calling out Aaron Glenn, and asking for his son to enter the game. That's my one major concern with Shedeur Sanders. But who knows? It's all a crapshoot. But draft less than 1 month away. Appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Jake and Connor here with you, Tuesday edition of NY Flight Jet Stock. Jake, appreciate you hopping on with me here on this pre-recorded show. You got any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
I think if he falls to 6, Vegas and Sanders just makes all Viva Las Vegas, Shador Sanders, like to me that's
Tom Brady, that connection too.
That's the spot for me. If he falls out of the top 5, I'm the Raiders, I take him because they can deal with a sideshow. It's the Raiders. They're already a sideshow. So why not make it more of a show and have people come to Vegas to see Shador Sanders? I think it's a storyline.
It's treated for Geno Smith though. Like that's the other thing. They're paying Geno Smith all that money.
Yeah, I did forget that they signed Geno Smith, but Geno Smith is still forgettable to me. I don't care that he's turned his career around. He'll always, be the guy that got punched in the face. But I still think it's 6. I don't know. What is the Geno contract? I forgot what did they give him? How many years did they give him?
5 years, and I might be wrong. No, I don't think it was 5
3
years.
3 years.
3 years. That's what it was. Yeah.
All right, so maybe that's
75 million.
Maybe that's not the spot for him, but I don't know. There's something about Vegas. I don't know. Maybe they could trade Geno, but I would like to see him in Vegas. But yeah, looking forward to the draft in a few weeks. I've been very much in MLB mode, so the draft week, I think I'll get more into NFL mode. But I love the coach. I love what the coach says. I love what he preaches. I don't think this is a phony. I don't think it's another defensive head coach. I think they got the right leader. I think they have a quiet GM. I don't know much about Muji yet where I could really judge him, but I like the structure in place and just have Woody be out of it. Woody's got to be a better owner. He's one of the worst owners in sports. He's got to be a better owner this year if the structure of this team wants to change because it starts up top. And why the Mets are doing so well is Cohen handed the keys to Stearns. Hand the keys to Muji. Stay off the TV appearances on political stations. Just go to an island. Stay away. Don't speak and live your billionaire life without controlling everything about this franchise. They'll take your money and they'll take maybe some advice, but no football decisions. Let the football guys do that. And I think the structure's in place for the Jets to turn this around. You didn't even mention the interesting story about the 170 employees being handed keys to potentially opt out.
Woody completely denied that. Woody completely denied that. Yeah, that's why I didn't bring it up. He completely denied that during his media scrum yesterday. So he completely denied that report.
It seems weird to me if that story, if they heard from all these people directly, that it's denied when it's people who directly told them. So I don't know who's lying on that, but that is that's
literally cleaning the entire house. Yeah.
70% of your employees, 60%. I don't know the math off the top of my head, but that's like a lot, which sucks for them because as someone who's been laid off, it's the worst feeling. And just getting handed a payout, especially for people who haven't been there long, it's like a slap in the face, like a month. It's not a lot of money. So that story, there's going to be more to that story, I think, coming in the coming months. And I'm looking forward to hearing more to that. But Connor, you do a terrific job. Follow him. If you like the Mets, go to me, Mets Daily. But Jets Flight Club, I'll have talks this week if the show will continue this year. We are finding out if we're bringing it back. Maybe a new co-host. Eric quit on me after like 2 weeks. So might have to find a new former player co-host. But I think they'll be more bearable, less stress without Rodgers doing TV appearances every week. I think it'll be an easier team to stomach this year if they do lose. But I expect them to win 7-8 games. We'll see what the rest of the offseason holds. But I expect brighter days ahead for the Jets with this new regime.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, hit subscribe. That'll do it for us. He's Jake Brown. I'm Connor Long. JTS.